Joan Wende. How are you?
Hi, Evelyn. Sasa Eve.
Poa sana. What
Ehe.
episode is this?
Where? It is episode 6.
Six.
Yes,
And
imagine.
and we are still here.
We are almost finishing a season. We are past the halfway mark. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Hey.
Okay. I have been looking at the improvements we've done on
Mm-hmm.
the quality because we were doing this not knowing. So maybe one day we'll be in front of a live studio audience and we'll
Imagine.
be talking about these topics.
Yeah. And I think maybe even from our audience, like, thank you first of all if you've reached this end of watching. Sometimes it's more like the value and what we are saying versus the studio. But I know we can repeat all these things we are saying in a studio. Maybe we'll get another new audience of people who just like this. But
Yeah.
yes, it's really been a journey. I've also been learning a lot, and thank you guys if you're listening, because we value your feedback and we also value the lessons and even the comments that you share on the DMing and all that.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Okay. Would you like to introduce yourselves before I say what this journey is all about, why we came together? Please
yes.
introduce yourself first.
So my name is Joan Mwende. I'm a personal branding strategist and a women's economic development champion based in UAE. And my purpose and my joy and what I love doing is putting money in women's pockets. So I'm a business lady as well, and really advocate for women to put money in their pockets, mainly with what they can control, which is their personal brand. We
Yeah.
can't control our jobs and our all that, but we can control what we do with our personal brands. Yeah.
Okay. And I am Evelyn Binomondi, a career coach, also based in the UAE. We met 7 years ago when
Mhm.
we first moved here and we immediately clicked. I work with women also who are currently on their career path and I help them with transitions mostly. So any changes that are happening that you're struggling with, or even if you're just struggling with yourself on how to manage your career, how to be comfortable in it, or when you're stressed, I'm the person you go to. Joanne and I decided to start this because we meet every Tuesday morning to talk about our businesses, our learnings, what happened during the week. And it can be something as small as I learned something about Instagram, and it could also be something as big as I got this opportunity and I want to figure out how to fully maximize it. So it swings all the way from small to big. As part of that learning, I want to hear about your week because there's something you learned, something that came up that I
Mhm.
have to hear about.
I think it's very closely tied to today's topic.
Yeah.
Africans in the diaspora, when the year started, there was that move of many blacks in diaspora were moving to Africa. Yeah, I don't know if you saw that trend then. Then the war, and we mostly know that even us working in the UAE, we know that one day we would want to go back home. It's just that we don't know when it is, but we know our retirement, Africa is the way to go and all that. And I think one of the things that stood out for me this week is it's just sad to see news from Kenya. There's a news like mismanagement of funds, the economy is not doing well, and all, which the economy is also not doing well across the world in many countries. But the news that caught me is now how GBV has really risen in Kenya. Every single day there's a case of a child missing. And those things are so sad that we knew, like, at the corruption and all that, fine, we will go and try and figure things out. But when it comes to life is at stake, and me, even as a parent, seeing other parents crying online that their child is missing for 3 months, for 2 months, for 2 weeks, even a day, not having your child, I don't even know if those parents are sleeping. And it's those things that for in a very long time, not even a long time, never have I ever thought that there's something that would stop me from going back home. But now this is like the safety of children. I'm like, wow, I really, really value our home so much. And maybe that's why I felt so deeply about it. That now we're like, man, that now do we stay here? The people even back home are like, hey, if I were you, just stay there where you are. Just stay there, don't
Is it
go.
something that's happening everywhere across the world, or is there just
In
an
Kenya.
influx? Ah, and do they know the reason why?
I don't know the reason why. Like children are missing, and it's a serious thing. And there's been so many campaigns online. I watch Citizen TV almost every day. I watch news from home almost every. It's been rising. In fact, today morning I saw something of every day for the last 18 days. There's news about a child missing, and then there are those ones when a child, for example, there was one child from Githurai, I don't know if it's 44 or 45, but a teenager who's 15 years old was promised a phone to steal a 2-year-old. And so this is the police saying in the police station. There's another one in a place called Larry that she was going from school to home, maybe 7 years, 8 years old, and she was found in the bush, not alive, harmed, and all that. And for me, those things, I'm like, these are kids. Like, even you hear mothers on the news saying, why take a child? Take me. Me, I have experience. Take me. Don't take our children. Right? And I don't know if it's the mental state of mental health, or because I'm not hearing like ransoms. Those are not, I've not heard anyone saying it's about a ransom, but it's about just taking children. And I don't know. I don't know. It's been in news for the last couple of days in Kenya for media and people doing a lot of campaigns. And Usikimye, if you follow Usikimye, it's also big there. Yeah, and I didn't think there would be a time that I questioned that like going home was not a choice. Like today, going home, I need to think about that choice from the point of my children. Yeah. I don't know if it's a
That's
aha
sad.
or what of the week, but it's just sad.
I get why it would be top of mind. Where parental anxiety, it already exists even when nothing wrong is happening in the world, right? There's
That's it.
just always that thing about, I want the best for them. I want them to be safe. So I think whenever anything happens, it increases it even further. So I can see why that is top of mind. And I hope all the kids are found. But based on what you're saying, some are ending up in a bad way. Yo. Okay. That now even changes how mine will sound because
That is positive, you know.
it is positive,
Bring us on
but
a
now
lighter.
it has to transition in a different way.
Yeah.
Mine is about food. Now you see why. It just sounds like, what is this lady even saying? I will say it anyway. I discovered a Tanzanian who um, makes and delivers food where I live.
Yes.
So over the weekend, I ordered different things. So I
Uh-huh.
have ugali, mboga, yamachoma, all these things.
Oh my.
And it's giving me so much joy to just be able to eat food from home and it tastes
Oh
like
gosh.
home
Mm-hmm.
and it can be delivered fresh when you need it, or it can be like a meal prep option. I will look for her name. I think it's called Swahili
I know
DXB
her.
or something. You know her.
Swahili delicacy. My friend, she's called Bertha.
Oh,
Oh my gosh, she's so talented, and shout out to you, Bertha,
yes.
for listening. But she's really been very intentional with her social media, her TikTok and Instagram. I don't know where you found her.
I should look for her. I think I found her on TikTok when I was just scrolling.
This is where people say small world, but in the scheme of social media, is it like it's such a
Yes, it's called Swahili DXB,
delicacy?
which is Dubai
Yes,
Delicacy. Yes.
yes, yes. Oh
Yeah.
wow! Hey!
So that was good.
No,
I even had mandazis the other day.
mahamri.
And
She even asked, "Do you know the difference between mahamri and mandazi?" I was like, I've eaten her samosas in our house. Her samosas are a favorite in our house.
yeah.
Hey guys, if you're in Dubai and you're looking for someone to order, like to cook food, she even does meal preps for bachelors. She calls that.
Yes, she does. I think she does Dubai, Sharjah, and Ajman. I'm not
Yes,
sure, but
yes.
I think she does three different areas. But it's always something you can go look for her and have a conversation with her. Yeah. So mine is
Okay,
not like a career topic. It's like you can't even
no,
see the joy in my face because
no, because I know even after we started the podcast, I know you've been really busy, and cooking is one of the things that really takes time. we needed to edit episodes. I don't know what, you need to do your coaching business and all that.
Honestly, even when I'm not busy, I always
Yeah.
feel like cooking is not top of the things I
Yeah.
want to do. It's not top of the list. Not because of anything, but it's just
That's how
I don't enjoy it, but I want a home cooked meal. You know what
yeah.
that looks like.
Balance. Yeah.
So you want it because you want to eat that kind of food, but you don't have time for it. Yeah, and the delivery was nice, the packaging was nice.
Yes.
That was an amazing experience. Maybe let's call it part of the self-care that I did this week was
Wow.
getting my meals delivered. Another thing is just what you're saying. When you're busy, you just want someone to take things off your
Yeah.
plate without
Yeah.
the quality going down. So this
And
was
it's that
exactly it
dedication.
because it's coming, it's well done, it's well packaged. So you get the feeling of home without you having to put in the effort to achieve that. Yeah. So
Hey,
that was good.
hey,
Shout out
Ian.
to her. I didn't even know we know
I think,
someone in common.
yes. No, but another thing is that people think social media is, which is true, it is crowded, but it's not crowded. Like, for example, businesses you're looking for, when you're looking for something, for example, you're looking for home cooked meal, you will find that not so many people are talking about it.
Mm,
That's why I'm saying, like, you think social media is crowded, but it's not crowded when you actually are looking for something and it's not there.
it's true.
And it has not come to your feed. And sometimes it's like yesterday I discovered something, a toilet sanitizer.
Mm,
And I just went to the toilet, in fact, in the salon, the lady who does our procurement, she got a toilet sanitizer, a toilet seat sanitizer. I've seen toilet seat sanitizers like in hotels and nini, but then it is like it's almost like that thing for doing this. You take tissue, you do
yeah,
when
yeah.
you clean your toilet. So this is like something that can get into your handbag, like very small and compact. To be honest, I just sat there in that toilet thinking, until I've seen this, I didn't think I need it. But it is something I needed 10 years ago, from 10 years in my handbag, and now having a child, who, when we go to the mall, first of all, by the time she said she's pressed, we are going to the toilet. She's really, really wants to go to the toilet. And so by the time I clean, I put tissues and put them in the seat. I, And so my point, I promise it's related.
Yeah,
My point is that sometimes you think your solution is not needed and people don't need it because there are many of them or
yeah.
many restaurants cooking. But then, she just needed to say, I cook African meals and I can give people like Eve who don't have time to cook. Without knowing it, you'd find she's the only one who does that, because tell me how many people do that, what she's doing in
Because it's a need I've had for a long time.
for a very long time.
And,
Yeah,
and the thing I liked about it also is the clarity of I have seen her page and I just needed to do 2 scrolls for me to see the entire menu, the cost per item, the number I can call, the packages she had. That's what I loved. I think that's what moved me to immediately ordering
yeah.
because I then didn't have to go and
DM
look for
for
her
prices.
number and then DM her and then ask her what is available and all that. It was just boom, boom, boom.
Faster, faster.
And that is what makes people buy sometimes. So if I come to your page and I can get all the information I need
Yeah,
immediately, it's why you need to just build that brand even if no one is interacting yet.
yeah.
Because either when they need it or when it blows up, your business will just pick up.
And maybe you also need to know who your audience is, because there are very different types of audiences on online. And if you're serving everyone, you're not serving anyone.
Yeah.
Because then even her, she could ask, who will buy African food? And I think that clarity, that she knows who she's reaching. Then I'm not in the internet for Spanish people or I don't know who. Maybe those are my 5%, but my 95% is people like Eve and Joan. And can we take a second and just appreciate her packaging as well?
It's so good.
It's so good, right?
Yes. In fact, I was just saying I need to keep all the containers
Container.
and stuff, so that when I get the next delivery, I can just send them back to her because the quality is good. Even the stickers she has on the items. A shout out to her. May we tag her when you do this because I'm sure there'll be many other people listening who either want some form of catering.
Yeah.
Because when I ordered on that Saturday, she told me she can only do it on Sunday because she was doing some catering thing. You said her name is Batha. Okay, shout out to Batha. Now, 17 minutes, we're talking about food. Okay, so let's get into today's topic. And it's something we started talking about in the last episode, but we'll go deeper into it. And it's a money topic, something that not many people are comfortable about,
Yeah.
but we'll just talk about either the mindsets that we now have that we didn't have before, or the things you've learned once you started interacting with people when it comes to money.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave it at that because it could be wide. It could be an investment thing, a mindset thing, something that you tweaked and you just saw that jump in your income, or something that was holding you back. I'm going to leave it open. And I don't know if you want to start or you want me to kick it off.
Because you just said a sensitive topic,
Yeah.
that is my first point. That's what I had. Because you already mentioned, money is a
The
sensitive topic.
sensitivity.
My first point is that we were raised that money, there was a culture of secrecy around money.
Mm.
Like many African communities, we weren't openly talking about salary. Like you would only hear people say, your cousin now earns 100,000. And you're in school, you're like, is that a lot or a little? So what do people earn? But you don't ask about it. We didn't used to talk about debt. We didn't discuss investments, like financial mistakes that were hidden. And as a result, people are learning through trial and error. And so, like, for example, for me growing up, my parents were like, just because of financial literacy and all, because they're business people, in business, cash is king. They used to do exports from home and they sell abroad. And for you to do such a business, you really need to have a lot of money because you need to buy the goods once, like containers, and go with them abroad.
Yeah.
So for me, because they used to go, they get the money, and they used to make much more than what they borrowed. But then that discipline of paying back, at some point, they got stuck because if they came back, it's like we have new cars, all that. There's a point when us in our home, because they hadn't paid a debt, Amani Rain were auctioned. Our whole house. My mom even keeps on saying it's not that we didn't have the money. It's not that even the lives at some point we lived. I would tell people, oh, I didn't have school fees, a lot of my education, but my parents had money. You wouldn't say they were poor. They had money, but I was at home without school fees because of the thing about debt and all that. And because it's not something they educated us. Now, me growing up, I feared loans with all my heart. Feared like a fear of sin.
Yeah.
Like low, I don't want. I don't want.
That was just seen as that thing you
I
need
don't
to
want.
avoid.
So that they can come and take my TV like the way. No, I don't want. I don't want. And it's things like this that silence around money, it delayed financial growth because let me tell you, one thing that I would do if I went back to corporate today, especially here in Dubai, that is how debt in Dubai is very cheap compared to Kenya. Like, for example, if taking a loan would be around 5%, 6% versus home, which would be in the 20% interest, right? And so the way you come here and you're like, we need to develop back home and all that. Someone who works in wealth management told me, Joan, you can take debt here, invest in like bonds in Kenya. That interest can be paying your loan here. Things like those that I'm like, but me, when I just hear the law, and you see, if we talked about this then, maybe there's some financial growth that I would have grown better than now I've had to learn trial and error. Is it working? Is it not? And so I just think that there should have been more healthy conversations around savings, investment, budgeting, wealth creation, and those financial mistakes and lessons that people don't talk about. It doesn't necessarily mean that they are weak. It's just mistakes.
Definitely. Good one. Random question.
Mm-hmm.
Are you then doing anything differently? So
Mm-hmm.
either your kids or your group of friends can approach money differently. So has anything changed? Are you guys now exchanging ideas or is it still very sensitive? I'm only asking this because when you start out having this sensitivity around money, it's very hard to change in the middle. It's very hard that all of a sudden you're calling your friend to ask them what their plan is. How do they separate money into different bank accounts? Do they have an investment? It is very weird that we never used to talk about it, and all of a sudden, Joan is coming to ask me. So, is there something you're doing differently now versus before?
Yeah. I think people who know me, I am less of a gatekeeper in so many things, especially like finances. Of course, till now, I've not gotten to the point of I have this savings account, it has 100,000. I had this one, it has 2,000, 100,000. No,
Oh, sharing versus oversharing.
exactly. So the advantage we have now is more and more as we were growing up after campus and all, a lot of financial literacy stuff started coming up. And for me, I became that person who now I went and became a nerd in financial literacy just because of trauma. No, because advantageously it helped me, and that's what mostly I was doing in the nonprofit in Kenya, just helping women now plan their finances well. And so through that, it's talking about where do you guys save? Where do you put money in Kenya? What options are there? What percentages are in Dubai versus Kenya? So those are things now I really immersed myself in knowing,
Yeah.
and now trying to see what are my goals. If we are, for example, something as simple as, which I thought it was obvious for everyone, by the way, that, every year we travel home as a family. And when we were just me and Kenus, for example, our ticket would cost like 4,000 dirhams. And so it's a ticket that we go maybe 1 year. But now having a whole family, it's in the 10,000s. And then when you go home, if last year you spent 200,000 for a month in Kenya, the next time you go, you're spending like 500,000. The next time you go, because the inflation and the economy has really changed, like you walk into a supermarket, by the time you walk out, you're like, wait, the 100,000 that lasted us 1 month last time, now it's lasting us 3 weeks. I mean, it's lasting us 2 days. 2 days. So it's now saving for, like, now we always had the practice of saving for the vacations for going home, because somehow you can have a budget, but somehow you can't have a budget because you always don't know from a money mindset point of view. It's saving for those things, and where do you save for it? Do you save it in Dubai or in Kenya? So for us, we save in a money market where we know it's gonna get money, and then we remove and start again every year. Another money market that saves for maybe something else, another project. So you'd find me as Joanne, every goal has an account linked to it, and this I talk about it openly with my friends, and now starting to think how can I introduce my children, because then do we introduce from a Dubai perspective the piggy bank, or now we even go beyond borders. But yes, I think for me it's more open, at least with my close friends. It's very open and many people even ask, even employees, for example, in the salon, they're like, okay, you guys, you moved us here in Dubai. Where do you normally put your money? Because also from a Dubai point of view, you'd find a lot of the banks don't give like interest like in Kenya, like the 5% and the what, they will give maybe a 1%, because I think the belief is it's shared interest. So they can't tell you the percentage until the end of the year where they share, and then they say this year, this is the interest you've gotten, which is 0.2%, like that. So that's why many people would invest in outside, not only in Kenya, but around the world, unless we're doing bonds and stocks and all those things. But anyway, that's a long,
Interesting.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You see, I'm so deep into it now is when I'm coming out of it. I think mine is linked to what you're saying with regards to the sensitivity around it. And I'll say it in two parts. The overall thing is you have not because you ask not.
Yeah.
We are afraid of asking for more when it comes to money. The person giving it won't tell you that you need to ask for more. They won't tell you that your value is much higher than that. So when we talk about employment and when you're in corporate, sometimes the budget set aside to pay you is much higher than what you ask for. So you get the job, you're given the offer letter. You're too scared to negotiate because you think it will be taken away from you. But HR had a budget of plus 25%. But since you came in and you didn't ask for it, they will just set it aside. The other thing I've realized is now that I'm in business, sometimes I have to get coaching or I have to reach out to other suppliers, let's say for design or something like that. And you meet a designer who's really good. You ask for their price, they tell you, I don't know, it's $10. And in my head, I'm like, for the work to be this good, it should be like 100. I went in thinking it's 100 and they said 10. No, so obviously I'm like, oh, that's good. That's reasonable. But that person does not know that I had a budget of 100, right? So I think you need to ask for more. Let that person say no rather than you saying no to yourself already. You just never know how much is behind that ask.
Yeah.
Sorry, you had something. Say first.
It's such a deep, like pricing yourself and pricing your value is so deep ingrained versus just your value. It is, what do you believe you're worth? Because if you believe, for example, there's someone who, because they don't know you have 100, them they charge 10, and maybe they think that's who will pay me 100. Are you being reasonable? Like 100, a whole
Who am
100.
I to charge
Who
100?
am I to charge 100? And so I met this coach, and I think you know her, she's based in Canada. And she kept on saying that pricing is less of the number, more of you and
It's
what
less
you
about the money, it's more about the identity all the
identity
time.
and your worth and what you believe your worth is, because no one can set your worth if it's not you. And so if you want someone to value your, and it's in everything, like in terms of respect, in terms of caring about yourself and what, you set the standard. You always set the standard. And so it's um that conversation of, if you believe you're worth $10, you are. If you believe you're worth $100, you are. If you see someone in your industry and they're charging $1,000 and you're like, but I'm better than them, but that's too expensive.
That's just what they priced for it. It's again linked to something you said. I always think that the best way to start dealing with that is data. No, whenever you want to price or whenever you want to ask for a higher salary, you need to start talking about money.
Yeah.
You need to ask people, what are you guys charging? You even need to ask them, how did you get there? Did you go through the same journey? Were you afraid? What changed it for you? Was it something someone said? Well, I've just remembered something. The first time I started coaching, when I was in a class and it was the final day, and we were talking about, we were asking questions. Anyway, so I asked this question about how do I price considering my target audience won't be able to afford. So this is what I'm planning to charge, but
Yeah.
Dubai is expensive. So I won't be able to survive if I'm only charging this, or I'll need to have 100 clients for me to reach the target, that. I went on and on, right? And every response they were giving me, I had a comeback, as to why it won't work. Then this lady, she's at the corner, she just said, I'm sorry this is going to sound bad, but let me just tell you because you need it. This is not a money conversation. This is a conversation about how you view yourself. And until you update that, no response we give you is going to help.
That is true.
Because you're not fighting versus the money, you're fighting versus how we view you.
Yeah.
And you view yourself differently. So no matter what we tell you, you'll always have a response. You'll be like, but no, but that won't work for me and whatnot. My gosh, that lady said that. We had a deeper conversation later, but it changed how I view the pricing and how
Yeah.
I valued myself, because she was right.
Yeah.
If you see yourself as 1,000, no matter how much I tell you that it's more than that, you will fight me because
And
you
then
don't see it.
there's that thing of, you go online data, you see people like you charge 1,000, but you see yourself as a 500. As long as even you see yourself as a 500, even selling their 1,000, you will not have the confidence to sell it.
Oh, that's
You
true.
will not even have, yeah. So it's that identity thing that because you have data, you've already been even told people charge $10,000, guys. Then you go and say, I'm worth $10,000, but I can negotiate and I give you
It's that thing. You first of all you negotiate with yourself, not that person, because the person is in the room, they're sitting there, but you said your price,
yeah. And they've
you've
got quiet.
mentioned an objection, then you've gone back and said not. So you're like, I can charge 10,000, but it's okay if you only have five. But you know what? You can come back with a payment plan. Because that person has not even talked, but you're just on, and you're fighting yourself. You're not fighting
That's
them.
why that's why I like that last point.
It's
Or
just a you
it's
thing.
an inside thing that you need to deal with and be convinced that I am worth this. Joan, you're worth 10,000 and someone can pay you 10,000. And if it's less than 10,000, then you need to decide if you're going to take it or not. Right. And you live with the consequences.
Yeah.
Me, I've had to learn it so much in the salon because when you have co-founders, because they are the ones who make hair, and the way they were making hair at home is very different from the way now we have our place and making hair. And so for me, because I know how much I used to pay when they were at home versus now in the salon, anytime someone asks, Joan, how much is installing sister locks? And then I go to the catalog, I'm like, 1,800 dirhams. The way I know this person, where 18,000 dirhams is a lot. One of the founders and asked, can we do 1,500 maybe? No, it's 1,800 dirhams. It's 1,800 dirhams. If she can't, let them go somewhere else. And if they find they match our service, so most probably, and this is a real example because that 1,800 dirhams, she finally came. So it was an assumption for me that they couldn't afford it. And I think she scouted around and like, okay, by the way, these ones are the ones who actually know how to install sister locks because it's a science. So yeah, and that has really taught me a lot in terms of negotiating is not bad and putting your price lower is not bad. But then at what point do you stop and say, now I need to put my foot down?
Yeah. And just keep
Hey,
updating it because you realize, I was thinking about this the other day, what we are charging or doing right now, when we need to scale, it will be another identity update
yes,
because
yes,
the people who are making, I don't know, $10 million, there are things they see that we don't see.
yeah.
I am assuming you're not making $10 million. That is a bad assumption. But yes, let's say the one who's now
Maybe
making,
Tanzanian shilling.
yeah. So the person who's making 10 million, there's a mindset thing or there's an environmental thing they see that maybe you don't see at whatever you're making. So even us or whoever is on this journey, when you need to go higher, there's an identity update that will happen. And I've had them saying something like, you now need to make money through people. You don't
Yeah,
have to be the one doing everything. So maybe the update will be, I need to let go
of that.
and allow my employees to do this. And that is also a hard thing. Yeah.
The
But
delegation.
basically, you just need to keep doing those updates to yourself and your worth and your identity. The more you keep making, the more those updates happen. It's very hard at that point, but you just have to keep doing it.
Who was supposed to teach us these things? Where?
You learn as you go. I guess this is life.
Wow, 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 wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where? Yeah. Anyway, so my second point would be that I've come to discover, you know how when we came from home, coming to the diaspora, when you are at home and you see people in diaspora investing and always, it's very synonymous to real estate, like land, houses, rentals, all that. And coming here, we're like, there are other things that people can. Well, yes, even at home, there were like stocks, those money markets, and all that. But for me, one of the ahas was wealth can also be intellectual property. Wealth can also be investing in your personal brand. Wealth can also be in the education, the skills, and technology and digital assets and stuff like that. Like it doesn't just have to be like your NSSF, which was a pension fund at home, which is important. What wealth is and what money is really has changed when coming here and meeting people whose ideas and ideologies on what that is an investment is. Like, you know how when we're told like, buy land in Joska, I don't know, buy what. But for me now, I'm seeing true wealth is now that diversification and also having cash at hand. Because you see, there was just a crisis and we are all, there are people who don't even have tickets to get out of here, but they are rich. Yeah.
Maybe you talk to people, because this is an important one. Maybe I'll just add in the point I had is that financial literacy looks different for different people. And it depends a lot on what region you're based in, but also the people you interact with. I was thinking about this the other day. When you're on TikTok sometimes and you see all these literacy coaches and they're talking about your credit score, you need to do this on your credit score. This is how you improve your credit score. I remember the first time I used to see it, I used to think, why don't I know these things? But it's simply because it didn't apply to us back at home, right? It exists, I'm sure, but we don't use that to transact.
Yeah.
I can go and get that house and rent it without my landlord knowing my credit score.
Yeah.
Because we don't transact in credit, we transact in cash, right? Then you go to a different region and that's the thing. But it also means that those people who see it differently have information that you don't have.
That's
There's
true.
a time we were talking and we were saying there was someone we were working with, and when you talk to them, they're like, I invested in this restaurant. And you're like, what do you mean you invested in a restaurant?
Yeah.
They're like, no, I don't own it. Someone started it, and I asked them if I can have 5% share. And I give them some money. And so when they make profit, I get back my money. Like, so you just sat down one day and decided you are part of a restaurant, you are part of a bookshop, you're part of this. And it is such a sweet spot because they're not running the business actively, but they are benefiting from it. And their money is bringing in more money. And it's not just sat somewhere the way, like for me, I bought land when I started working, but it hasn't done much yet because I haven't developed it. Maybe the value has gone up, but versus if I took that money and did other many smaller things, it would have grown. So I guess my point is financial literacy looks different for different people. So have conversations with others. And if you come across something that's not helpful to your situation, it's okay to drop it.
Yeah.
It's okay to drop it if it's not useful in your current environment.
Because a lot of that, what I'm thinking is a lot of financial literacy and what you know is inherited from your parents and community. So now, as we are growing in knowing things of the world, like not even financial literacy, because we might watch this content, but what can you do with your money? Because sometimes is you hear some, you're like, no, I don't want Bitcoin and all that. But there's something you can hear and you're like, wow, that actually makes sense, and I've never heard of it in my whole life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey.
Banking. Okay.
Yeah.
So you had another point.
I have. So one thing I've come to learn about money, I think coming from home, coming to make money in diaspora and all that, one thing I've come to realize is money is not the goal. Money is not the goal, because that's one of the biggest mindset shifts of realizing that money itself is not the destination. It's a means to an end. So what is your end? And that end is not one picture, because one picture of money, a lot of what is sold out there is, oh, when you have money, guys, there'll be signs. What are the signs? A nice car, you in the beach somewhere sipping your mojito or something. But one thing I've also come to make terms is that not everyone wants that. Not everyone wants that there'll be signs. Different people pursue money for different reasons. Someone, it could be just for the security of it, for the freedom. Others, it's comfort. Someone is status, because money gives people status. Yeah. Family support, legacy, I was hanging out with the guys in the salon, and someone just said, that uncle or cousin who just always has money is the one in gatherings of the family, either it's a funeral or a wedding or what. When they stand up to speak, even the ones in the kitchen will come out and listen. Everything stops, like, shh, shh, shh. Keep quiet. Nawasalimia jameni, hamjambo, pass. It's like when a president or an MP speaks because the power and the money it gives them. Versus someone who now is coming to advise us and doesn't have money. That's when children need to go to be taken to the toilet, food needs to go, hey, let me just go to the kitchen and check something and all that, which is a bad thing. Because sometimes there are very wise people who maybe don't have the money that people think is money and all. But there are people who just want money for that status. That when I stand up and talk, you're listening. Just that and all that. And I really have come to respect because you know how I don't know if you're growing up, you'd be like, those white people have a lot of money, but you can't tell because look, they're wearing just t-shirts and slippers. Wow, they have a lot of money. And because how we were taught of seeing money from an African perspective versus look at them, they have comfortable clothes, they don't have like the heels and the what that we thought. Hey, it's not one box. It's not one box. And for me, what now I came to realize, because money is not the end goal, it's that money would give me that extra voice for change. It allows for me to at least help create opportunities, support communities, empower the women that I work with, and also fund the causes I care for, or even be there when it needs to be talked about. Like remember when we were talking about going to networking events, when you have money, and that's the same thing as Africa, when you have money and when you seem like you're someone who has the financial resources, I'm not coming, you will listen to me not because I'm asking for something from you. You listen for me because there is a community I represent and I want you to listen so that that's changing in this institution. And that's a big thing. And yeah.
This, your point is just, I can only describe it this way. It's so big,
Yeah.
and so important. And I have many thoughts. The first one is, I don't know if you've ever had this quote, I don't know who said it, that I wish everyone in the world had a lot of money so they realize that money is not everything. And I think they said it because whenever someone says money is not the goal, there's a group that will be like, what do you mean money is not the goal? Money is the goal.
Yeah.
And you remember that it was called Maslow's hierarchy of needs or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think at the bottom we had basic needs. It goes all the way to self-actualization. I remember the young girl in me when I was younger. At some point, I went to primary school, Nairobi Primary, and there were rich kids there, but I wasn't part of the rich kids. So I used to look at these kids and just think, yeah, you have just all this money and the best storybooks. So for me as a kid, I wanted money. I do not care. I want that money. That's all I wanted. And then what happened is I then grew up and made some money, still not at my goal, but I made it. And I had a really good job that was paying exceptionally well.
Yeah.
But once I was there, I was like, it's taking everything away from me. Because now my life has become my job, but it's also affecting my health. It's taking everything. And I remember this time, I wrote a note to myself and I'm like, I don't care if I live on less as long as I have my brain back. As long as I have me back, I don't care if I don't have this money. And now it's like almost the younger version of me and the older one met. And it was that understanding of now you've had the money. So you've healed that version that didn't have. But now you also understand that it's not everything. Money will only solve your money problems. It won't solve all other problems. It's the fact that in this world we live in, money buys you a lot of freedom that you don't have when you don't have the money. So, for example, when people say, you know what? Look at Mark Zuckerberg. He just puts on this t-shirt and people will listen to him. And sometimes they joke and they're like, you with your nice outfit, whatever, you should be like him. No, you can't be like him because he has some freedom that you don't.
Yeah.
People already know him. He already has a brand. He already has the money. So it's no longer a status game for him. We know even he enters the room,
No one doubts.
no one doubts.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have to signify that he has it. Now, if you went into a room, let's say a job, to apply for a job interview in your t-shirt, you most likely won't get it because you still need to behave a certain. There's still rules that apply to you
Yeah.
that you can't just decide they don't apply anymore because of that. So now, going back to your point, it's the thing about money and different people wanting it for different things. And it's not money that's the goal. It's that for everyone, for me, I want money so I can get out of survival. Another person is, I want money so I can be in certain groups. Another is, I want money so I can have a voice. And many different things. You realize that, yeah, money conversations are not about money.
Yeah.
They're about the thing you get because of the money.
When we were young, no, when we were young, because I've thought about my point, then it's funny, then now, yeah.
Mm,
So, because when we were young, there were those people who kept on telling us, me, who was a brand ambassador in front of that fridge sneezing, because I am there because I want to make
oh, yeah,
money.
the story you told on your
Yeah,
brand.
the 700 bob I'm standing there per day to get. Then someone tells me, but money is not everything in this world. I'm like, look at you who has all the money telling me. I want to get there and get it so that now I can talk like you guys.
Yes, I want to get there so I can say
So I
those
can
things.
say, oh, freedom and security and what. And I think that is the maybe the living in terms of the time that we've spent in the world, and now we've seen part of it in terms of, guys, money is not the end goal. So I know maybe there's someone here thinking, like, hey, give me that money, give me. And then now we start discovering what is the goal and all that. But the point is, it's not that it's not important to make the money. And that's not what we are saying. We're just saying that the end in mind, like the money now becomes a means to your end. Because then maybe it was about food and wearing clothes. There's in as much clothes that you can wear, so you can't always just have money to wear clothes and put on shoes. So it's that deeper reason of what is driving you. And a lot of it's, I like the statement that you said, money solves your money problems, but it doesn't solve the deeper issues that we have. And so when you get money, you're like, oh, it was deeper than just the
Yeah,
money.
you remember when that thing they always say, the study, that it was a high percentage of people who win the lottery go back to
Poverty.
their initial state,
Yeah.
because they lose all that money.
Yeah.
And for me, that tells me that it was not about the money really. It was that there was something that needed to be solved.
Yeah.
And if it's not solved, I could give you $1 billion today, but in the next few years you'll go back to that because you need to solve that thing. And so if it was a status thing that you always wanted to be seen as important, that money will come. Then you'll have all these people around you because they're like, oh, she's the best, so you over there, you bought a car for Nani, whatever,
Yeah.
because for you it was a status thing.
Yeah.
Then in the next few years you'll have bought everyone a car and you'll be back to no
Yeah.
money,
Yeah.
and now they won't be around anymore.
Yeah.
Right? So it's just, you need to see what it represents for you. And if it's a thing that is not serving your goals or whatever, you need to work on that. So money stops being the factor in the equation.
Yeah. I know
Money.
that people who look for money so that they can be called to be speakers in those events. But you'd find there's those speakers for the events just because maybe they experienced that humiliation once because they didn't
Right?
have money. So it's something you need to heal from. It's not a money issue, right? Anyway, it's so deep. It's so deep,
It's so
Daddy.
difficult. Maybe I feel like I need to sit myself down and just talk to my younger self and be like, yo,
Hey, yeah. I don't know whose turn was it. I have one more point.
it was your turn.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
I think one last thing that I would say is when we came to diaspora, the main investment is back home. The main investment, because we know that's where we're going to retire and all that. But then one thing I've come to realize is like, first of all, just because of how the systems are working in diaspora, you can make much more money when you're in the systems versus sending money back home and expecting someone is running your hustle back home, which for some people it kind of works, for some people it does not work because you it's not you who's running your business. To someone else,
It's like when you start something and put an employee there,
an
most
employee.
times
Exactly.
you being there will be so much better
Than you
versus you letting
getting
someone
money
run it.
and
So
all
in
the
terms
time.
of money, got
And
you.
all the time you're told, oh, something was stolen, please return, something was, all that. If you spend that time and energy in building something in where you stay, you might find that because the systems already work, there's some streamlined way of doing things. You might find you're even gaining more than you not only having your main hustle, but now these other two things. Instead of putting the energy so much running a business back home, you can build where you are and you'll be very shocked that you're making it. Because I've seen many successful wealth builders often think globally. And for example, like many Indian families, when we grew up with Indians all around us in Kenya, and now even coming in Dubai, they are here and they're running big businesses. And it's that thing that their mentality is they build wealth across multiple countries by investing where they live, then investing where other opportunities exist, and then maintaining investment back home also. So for me, it's how can I build in both or more
Yeah.
versus building, because honestly, I was the people who, for the most part of being in Dubai, I was investing back home only because we're like, hey, we're not going to stay here. It's not forever, all that. Then, as I started this entrepreneurship journey, I'm like, I started with coaching, of course, now online. And then I'm like, hey, or what if we just set up a salon and start earning, all that? And seeing that, I'm like, by the way, now I'm starting to even meet other Africans who are out here doing many things. Me, I'm doing a dot. People out here are doing many things like Indians. They have a warehouse, they have a what, they have a fleet of lorries and trucks. And honestly, because we don't have to deal with baggage like corruption, paying cops, paying what, and even tax, because like in our business in the salon, we've not even paid a dot of tax yet, you know. So the system works in many of these diaspora countries. And if you want to build home, you would find that you will even build much faster here, then go home with your money and send more to our continent, more than that pinching a salary and sending. Yeah. So that's a mindset that I'm still growing it. I'm not an expert, but it's something that I'm like, aha, that I didn't have before. That now I'm like, wow, people actually are doing big things out here and it's working. Yeah.
Could it be that actually now I have two questions. The first one is, was it a fear you had of building where you currently are because it felt temporary? I guess that's the first one. And the second one is, if it's a passive investment back home, does it then make sense to do it? Because we always mistake the active versus passive.
Yeah.
Active requires you to be there building whatever. I always
Yeah.
feel like that doesn't work if you're not there.
There.
You're letting someone do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But if it's passive, like what you said, where you take a loan, put it in the money markets, and then
Yeah.
it grows, that does not require you to actively do anything. So is it an active passive discussion and dealing with that fear of it being temporary?
Yeah. I think it's so the first one is yes, the temporary, because when we came to Dubai, I was supposed to stay for 2 years. I don't know how long you were supposed to stay, but everyone had a cut mark.
Hmm.
Of course, that's not something in your mind that now why am I investing and I'm here for 2 years, And so when the 2 years passed and became 4 and became 6 and now we're in 7, then you're like, oh, actually, we are here. And until when we are here, when we need to stay here, then we can actually do things like this. So for me, it was just that temporarily we were living with a countdown, knowing that we need to go back home. But for me, the countdown was because I really, really, really loved, and I still love the community work we do back home. And I really was looking forward to going back and doing it. But then also another mindset that changed was I can do both. I can do this and also fly home and do the community work and come back and work. So
Either.
it's not either or now. It's not an either or. I can do all of them. That having absolutes, like it's 2 years, I only need to be at home so that these things can run. So now that for me, because being who I am, very structured, a lot of my life was a black and white, but now I've realized that a lot exists in the grays.
A
So
lot exists in the grays
grays,
for sure,
yeah,
especially money things.
yeah,
I had a point related to that, and it's okay for your money goals to change based on either a life stage or when you get new information, right? So, for example, when I was younger, everyone used to say that you need to buy a house, you need to buy this car, and you need maybe to do X. And you need to do it by this age, you know. So I used to have this feeling of when I'm 30 and I haven't bought a house, I will be such a loser, you know? It's the feeling I used to get. Now, I am way past that age and I don't have a house, and it's choiceful because I sat down with myself and I was like, why do you really want the house? Why do you want to buy it? And I had no reason for it apart from people said you should buy a house, right? So I decided that for me, it made more sense because one of my biggest values is freedom.
yeah,
It made more sense to invest or set it up in such a way that allowed me to have that freedom. And it could be either that I get to travel or it's easy to move money back and forth. And if I sit down with someone else, they will think that I am irresponsible, very irresponsible, in fact, because for them it will be like, but you need to have bought land, you need to have bought a house, you need to do those things. But for me, there's no meaning attached to that. Like, I don't feel like having them will do that for me. Anyway, I've talked to many people, and when you listen to their money goals, you will judge them. But they are doing it for a reason that is important to them, very
exactly,
important that
yeah,
you don't understand.
yeah, yeah,
So I guess the point is you need to know what your values are, you need to know what life stage you're at,
yeah,
and go with that, obviously with the right information, rather than this is the template. So I need to follow and tick and say house bought, car bought. I remember a friend of mine moved to a different country as an expat. And when she was there, they had public transport everywhere. Trains were working and all that. And her mom called her and she's like, what do you mean you don't have a car? You're successful. You should have a car. And it was very hard to explain to her mom that it is not needed. It's not that I'm less successful because I don't have it. It's just that it makes so much sense to use the train here because public transport is everywhere. It is right on time. If it says 8, it will be there at 8 versus me having that car. So you
yeah.
see, someone else looking at her is thinking, you are not doing well in life. This is not working. But her, she knows for me, it's not important to have it at the moment. I feel like you have a point there and I keep cutting you short.
No, no, no. I actually agree in terms of
Mm,
the money goals. It's very important to know. I think I really relate with the house example in terms of you come here, you're like, by this age, I need to have a house, I need to have a what, I need to have a what. Now, coming in, you're like, you find two types of people. A house doesn't mean anything to them. But then, like, for example, families like us, we are like, when we go back home, it's one thing to go to our folks' place. And then, especially, we are married. So it's me or the in law. Me or so we'll either stay in our house or my in-laws house, right? Which one has more space? So you'd find, okay, maybe the in-laws, because there are many they don't have, but my house it higher. Let us look at the tradition in African tradition. Can you stay in my house? It's so complicated.
and then now your kids are in someone else's house. They can't just be like, we want sausages. They have to behave.
We have to behave. And then also, if the kids are in my house, for example, my in-laws just can't come and say, we've come to visit our grandchildren." So it is, we need to keep on calling, we need to, or we meet in another place, a hotel, things like those. And so it became now an important goal to have a house.
Yeah.
And now both of them can come and visit if they want. We can stay, we are not telling people. And then now the family grew. So fine, guys have big houses, but now we are many, we are five, us plus have a help. Five people living comfortably in a well-functioning home of other people, that can be a bit of a stretch. Yeah.
You feel like
So,
you're even imposing
hey,
when you do that.
yeah,
And the beauty of having a house is for your kids, especially because I'm considering the kids. The move is already a hard thing,
the
moving
movies,
between
yeah,
countries and any. So
yeah,
if they have a place they can call home,
security, yeah, that's safety and our beds and all that. And and I'm just agreeing with you in terms of it didn't make sense when we first moved here, just me and my husband. But it made sense as a nice to have, like the things that we want to have, a big house,
yeah,
a bit what. But now it's a necessity that we need to put in money and invest and have that house because, like, for example, during the crisis and war, many people were going back home, but people who didn't have places to go to, because now when the crisis started, there was no end date. Normally when we come from Dubai and go home, there's
yeah.
normally an end date. Like, so it's like maybe 4 weeks. So this week we're gonna be in your folks. This week is my folks. Next week is coast. The other week is, I don't know, like community work or something like that. So and then back. Now, when the crisis came, it was indefinite. And then things were continuing. Work from home was continuing. Online classes was continuing. So you can imagine you're at your in-laws or your husband is in your parents' place. And you're like, hey, mom, can you stop banging the sufuria, like the pot? Mom,
Then also by week 2 they're asking, when is this crisis ending?
the president hasn't said anything. What are they saying? Please put news we see,
Yeah.
Or your company is not sending the email of you need to go back. Yes. So now, and that's the thing that is a serious money goal that you need to account for. And the last thing probably I'll add is your second question, because you asked me two questions, I answered one. Remember you asked me about you asked me about the types of income that if someone wants to do, because that's also a question I get a lot in terms of what can we do here to invest versus back home. And I'm only talking about the perspective of being Kenyan, because I know in terms of exchange rates, the yields that you can get and all that. And if I was to give an example, for example, you running an Airbnb at home and an Airbnb here. At home, you'll have to have like a caretaker or a family member who, because I've run an Airbnb before, and the headache of running an Airbnb is another thing. Like
When you
it's
when you're remote or when you're
when I'm
there, is it easier?
when I'm
Oh,
here.
okay.
I've never run when I'm there.
Okay.
I ran it when I was here. And so so I thought it was very automatic, but then you need to respond to the messages, which you can respond if you're here. If the caretaker says, oh, there were like 5 towels, now there are three. So we need to replace. So who will I send to replace? So maybe when someone is coming from here, I buy and I take, because no one has time to go to the supermarket. Maybe yes, they have, but the kind of towels to match the other ones, those details. And it's two same Airbnbs. But I honestly think that if I was running it here, it would be much less effort than if I was running at home.
More control
I have more control.
versus
But
when
at
you
home,
are just fully
yeah,
at the mercy of others.
like I need to call my bestie to go and take the key. My gosh, yeah, yeah, yeah. So I call, all that. And of course, there are businesses that don't need their passive income from a Kenya perspective that you don't need to be there. But there's income that now thinking through what can be kind of passive and you can still run it from Dubai versus back home where you'll keep on, you're in the middle of the meeting, you're like, caretaker Musembi calling, woo, woo. Guys, just give me one, this urgent, something like that. It's probably a list that maybe I can go and post on my page from a point of the things, options that you can do while here and you
Yeah.
have a job. But yeah, I honestly think that it's possible to make more money than your main job while earning in foreign currency. And I think it will do much more, like much more to now developing back home with your passive income. Or maybe that's a truth that I've really come to terms with now.
I get it.
Yeah.
You do the active thing where you are and you have control. And then whatever you earn can be more passive, and you can
Yes.
then go and invest it into something.
Like, for example, yes, my problem also, because I said I was running an Airbnb, my biggest problem with it was when the government now introduced tax on Airbnb. And so that would not have been an issue on this end. But then now that had to pause because first I couldn't figure out how to change the system to fit what the government wants. And so I'm like, it's already too much work. Now we are getting taxed. Then you see now from a country that is developed, that's not a discussion. Your business will just be going. And you see, because the systems work, and that's the advantage Africans have in diaspora. Yeah.
We have to do a part two of this.
Yes.
No, we have to, because there are some points I have put down and some that are coming to me when we are talking.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, we need to have a section for this. And I'll just leave it at this. A lot of money problems are visibility problems. Truly, truly. That if you are more visible, you would get more. But we will get into it
That is a topic on
another
its own.
another day.
The money you're leaving on the table by being invisible. Yeah.
Actually, that will be a topic
Yeah.
on its own.
Yeah. That's a topic
Okay.
on its own.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Wende, for all the points. Thank you, everyone. If you've listened to this point, we are very grateful. We would also love to hear your thoughts about anything you've learned, things that have completely changed your income just because it was a mindset shift. Yeah, anything that you've had from us that you have a different point of view on, we would also love to hear.
Yeah.
And we will see you next week. Bye bye.
Bye, guys, and thank you. Bye.